Here's George Brown with another exclusive video for the Snipers Club, and in this video, and what I hope is going to be a pretty important video to a lot of you watching, is we're going to be looking at what can go wrong when you're setting up a sniper site and how to fix it, obviously as well, and as quickly and as easily as possible. Okay, so we're going to start out with some general tips, and then which is kind of applies to the whole thing and throughout your sniping forever, and then we're going to be talking about some more specific problems that you might have, so you're not ranking or you're not getting the conversions you want. Okay, so the first big general tip is that sniping is a very fine-tuned process. Now, you might have noticed when you were going through the course that Google Sniper is a very specific course. You know, I say do this, do that, and do it in exactly this fashion. Okay, you might have bought courses in the past which are very general. Personally, I dislike those courses, which is one reason I made Google Sniper like that, to make it as easy to follow as possible. But also because there's not a whole lot of margin for error. Okay, if you want these sniper sites to succeed, if you want to build one-page sites that rank in the search engines, you know, that rank #1 in the search engines for these fairly competitive keywords, and get the conversions that I want, which is really, you know, incredible. I don't think any other system achieves that that's out there at the moment. Such good income from such little work. Then you have to do it in this exact way, really. Now, I've built a lot of these sites, and so I've really got the process down to a science. Okay, so it's a fine-tuned process and can take, you know, it might take a few attempts to get it just right. Now, my biggest tip for doing that is to follow the course as closely as possible. One example is when I did the initial release, you know, a guy came to me and he built some sites, and one of them wasn't doing so well, and he didn't even have the keyword in the domain name. The domain name was completely unrelated to the keyword. It was within the niche, but it wasn't the keyword. So don't expect to rank, for example, if you don't have the keyword and domain, because that is essential. That's so important. And really, there's everything in the course. Everything's in there for a reason. You know, even the YouTube video. Yes, the YouTube video. You know, make it. Just follow the course as closely as possible. The area where there is flexibility are the keyword figures, and also, before I forget, is on the post count, which we're going to cover in a minute. But certainly, sometimes I make more than 3 posts. That's just the average. The average site. Okay, if it's not ranking, I'll make some more, and if it's a really uncompetitive keyword, you might get away with 2, but certainly always make 2. Never make just 1 post. Okay. Okay, so the keyword figures are only a guide, obviously. When I use the under 7,000 competitors rule, okay, when you type the phrase in quotes into Google, the reality is that's only the sniff test. Okay, I mentioned it several times in the guide. Hopefully it was clear that that's only the sniff test. The real important part is the actual quality of the competition on the first page, rather than you know, the number of competitors. The reality is that I have some sniper sites that are ranking extremely well for keywords with as many as, you know, 35,000 competitors. Okay, and that's the exact same site that I'm talking about. What matters most is the quality of the first page of the competition. So just as a quick reminder, what you're looking for there is a load of page rank 0 sites. You know, no big authority sites, no WikiHows, no abouts, certainly no Wikipedias. You know, no huge authority sites within the niche that get a ton of traffic and have thousands of pages. You know, you're looking for sort of unprofessional sites that really aren't making the most of their situation. Okay, or you're looking for other sniper sites. That's always a great sign. Okay, but do remember that the keyword figures are only a guide. And the other key point here is that the search volume. Okay, I get a lot of people asking me, what if I found a great keyword but it's only got 1,500 searches a month? Well, by all means, go for it. If it's a buying keyword, that would be you know, incredible. If that was for a product name or something like that and you were #1, you would still make an absolute fortune from that site. Basically, the search volume count is just what I go for. So I tend to go around 2,000 to 3,000 as my minimum. But that's just because I'd prefer to keep looking for another keyword. To be honest, if you're prepared to make less per site, if you're prepared to maybe just make, this is very loose figures, by the way, you may make $1,000 a month from a site with only 100 visits a month. You don't really know, but let's just pretend for this example, if you're happy to just make $200 a month from a site, then by all means go for a keyword that only has 500 searches a month or 1,000 searches a month rather than 3,000. It really doesn't matter. What does matter and what's important to know is that the search volume will directly influence how much money you do make, but you can go as low as you want. It's completely up to you. Okay, the 3,000 figure is just something I came up with. And the final one is, for the love of God, please take your time with your site, okay, particularly your first one. Don't rush it. When you've built a few, yes, you will be building them in literally, a couple of hours flat. But please take your time. Don't rush the site. It's going to take a while to get this process down. Certainly when you're writing your first, pre-sale posts and your review copy and stuff like that, it may take you, a good while to get it right. Okay, particularly if you've never really done much copywriting before. So don't worry if it's taking you a bit longer, and really, just take your time with it. It's better to have your site work than to rush it, build 5 sites, and have none of them ranking, because it is a fine-tuned process, and everything really has to be, 100% for it all to work, and for it to deliver the results that I've promised you and the results that you want to achieve. Okay, so now let's talk about common problems and how to fix them. So these are basically the 2 main problems that you can have with a sniper site, and they are, conversions and traffic. So you're either not converting as many visitors as you should be, and you're getting some decent traffic, but you're not making as much money as you want to out of a site, or you're just not getting enough traffic, full stop. Okay, and we're going to look at them both. Both are easy to fix. Both will require a bit of time. But yeah, well, we're going to look at them both now. Okay. So first of all, let's talk about not converting. So you're getting enough traffic, but you're not converting enough of that traffic into buyers. That's basically the problem. Okay. So let's say you're getting 1,000 visitors a month. You want to be achieving a 5% conversion rate, and that would mean 50. That would mean 50 sales, and let's say you're only getting, 10 or something like that. Okay. So let's talk about how to fix that then. So the first rule is the 150 hops rule. Now have 150 rather than a number lower than that, because you never know with traffic. You could, your first 150 hops, or well, not your first 150 because that's the rule, but let's say your first 100 hops, your first 50 hops, they might be from dodgy traffic. Some of them are certainly going to be from you testing your own affiliate links, possibly your friends, people that aren't going to buy, that kind of thing. Basically, the more data you have, the more you're going to know about what your actual conversion rate is. So as a minimum, I would send no less than 150 hops. Okay. Now, if you've sent over 150 hops and not sold anything, and I mean not sent one sale, so that means when you go to ClickBank and you go to your analytics, that 150 people have clicked your affiliate link and you haven't had a single buy. Okay, first of all, I would actually check your affiliate link to make sure that's working, and then I would suggest immediately changing product. Okay, either change it for a different one in your niche, which is hopefully available. If you've chosen, one of the good niches, they usually have multiple products in them, or I would consider possibly changing it around and promoting something else from another network, which we're going to talk about in another video, which is moving beyond ClickBank. Okay, because there is a lot of money to be made, not just on ClickBank. But then let's say you make one sale at 150 hops. That's a pretty poor conversion rate. I would probably then certainly consider changing that product around if there's another one in the niche, Even if you're doing really well, it is definitely worth testing. I mean, it's simple enough. You generally just have to change around a couple of things in your copy. A few words where you mention the product, and also, of course, the affiliate links themselves. And that's not, you should always really test that, because you never know, you might be getting a 10% conversion rate, you switch products and suddenly you're getting a 20% conversion rate and your site's making twice as much money. You never do know these things until you test. I hate testing as well. I know it's a bit of a pain, but it's certainly worth it. Okay, so the first step is possibly changing product. The second step is reconsidering your review and the approach you've taken. Okay, so first of all, reconsider your copy. Is it really that good? If it's not that good and you're not that good at writing copy, feel free to give someone general instructions on what you want. So the keyword densities, the fact that you want the keyword mentioned this many times, the LSI keywords and stuff like that, or possibly even give them the LSI keywords and everything and tell them to include them, and forward it over to a professional copywriter or article writer. You could probably get these posts written for about $5 each. So certainly consider that if you really can't write for a toffee. and if you can write, just take a look at it anyway. Maybe you haven't written it that well, maybe it's not grabbing people. A good place to start is by looking at your analytics page. Okay, so if you've installed Google Analytics, or you've got the standard one that came with your web hosting, AW Stats or something like that, check, see when your visitors are leaving. If your visitors are leaving in 10 seconds, then before 10 seconds, then that probably means that the top of your page needs some work. Either you're trying to sell something, or you're doing the number one mistake that I talk about, which is you're not giving the visitor what they want and what they were searching for when they first arrive at your site. The other thing to consider is your approach. Maybe you've done a straight up review or a story, and actually a how-to would work better here, and you would entice more people to actually start reading, because once they start reading, once they're involved in your site, chances are they're going to stay for a while and certainly have a good look around. Now, I'm not going to talk about this loads here, because there is actually a pre-selling video this month as well, so definitely go and check that out, and I'm going into huge detail about all of this and really build on some of the stuff we already talked about in the course. Okay, so the second one is not ranking. Okay, basically you're not getting traffic. Now this is the worst problem really, because the conversions can certainly be tweaked very easily because you've got the traffic to play with, but this one can be a bit of a pain in the butt. And the first thing I want to say is the reality is if a site's taken me a couple of hours to build and it is nowhere to be seen on Google, I mean within the first 3 pages after about a month or something. Oh yeah, a quick thing I should note here, sorry to go off on a tangent, is that when you've created your site, you should certainly wait a few weeks before reading too much into it. Let's say you're not ranking straight away, don't worry. Just don't touch anything, just wait and keep doing it. Once you're indexed, add that final post or those final few posts and see. You can only really tell after a while. And unfortunately you might have even been sandboxed. Sometimes you will get sandboxed and that really sucks. You just have to live with it. Eventually your site will come to its true position, hopefully on the first page. Okay, so back to what I was saying. The first thing I would say is that, or the second thing now, is that if my site is nowhere to be found after that time period, I would generally just forget about it and build another site. It's just easier for me. It takes a couple of hours for me to build a new site, and so it's not really a problem. However, what this information is useful for, let's say you're ranking on the second page, or you're ranking at the bottom of the first page and you want to give it that extra boost. You're getting some traffic but you're not getting as much as you want. Now this is the most likely scenario and what tends to be happening. Okay, and that's what we're going to talk about here. Okay, so the first thing I want to say is that finding keywords is tough. I've done my best to describe it to you, certainly more than any other course I've ever purchased. Hopefully, they've got plenty of detail there, plenty of criteria and stuff like that to try and meet. But the reality is that it's still tough, and it's something that's only going to come with practice, I'm afraid to say. As you build more sites, you're going to get a lot better at it. By all means, submit your site for a site review. Bear in mind that a lot of people are doing this, and I will try and do my best to feature your site there, and we'll get some real good feedback on it. But yeah, the reality is that finding the keywords is tough, and the competition is hard to judge. For your first few sites, or for a while you're learning, you might get it straight away, I don't know, but it's hard to judge the actual level of competition. So you might underestimate the competition. You might think you're going to be able to rank and stuff like that. The reality is it's not that specific. It's kind of an art, judging whether you're going to rank or not, and search engines change all the time anyway. So this is just something that's going to have to come with practice. I know it's not what you want to hear, but I'm being really honest with you here, guys. I don't want to scam you into another product. Google sniping works so well, but unfortunately this is the one area that's just going to have to come with practice. The second thing is add more posts. That is a surefire way to significantly improve the rankings of your sites. Okay, and it's so easy to do. So all you do is you write a few more posts, and obviously your last post will again have to be your main pre-sale post that you spend your most time on. Okay, so while I suggested just using three posts in the guide, that is my average site, but a lot of my sites have more than that. Sometimes I'll add more posts to try and bump myself up the rankings, for example. Okay, so that is something you can easily do. Bump it up from 3 posts to maybe 5 or 6, and that will significantly improve your ranking, okay, by having more content out there. Now, third, and another mistake that I see a lot of, is just make sure you're not spamming that main keyword. I know how tempting it can be to really stuff it everywhere, but sometimes Google, it can be certainly seen as a negative if you're trying to be seen to be manipulating the search engines by literally putting it everywhere, in every single post, in every single post title, on every page, everywhere in bold, 5 times in the first post. It's too much. Okay, once again, if you just follow the guide, you'll be fine. But certainly don't spam that main keyword. Instead, as I've said, I recommend not spamming, but certainly having quite a few of those LSI keywords instead, because they will kind of make the main keywords stand out, while it will seem accidental to the search engines. It will seem like it's actually related rather than you trying to manipulate it. Okay, and then finally, consider adding a few more backlinks. I know it's the dreaded word, and it's boring, I know, and I absolutely hate it myself, but the reality is that it works like an absolute charm. Okay, so you might consider doing some blog commenting, you might consider doing another round of social bookmarking, a few more YouTube videos, submit some videos to another site. There is a whole bunch of stuff, and I'm going to be going through this in a ton of detail, actually live on screen, showing you how to do a whole bunch of things, the easiest way to get backlinks in the shortest amount of time, in next month's video. Okay, so look out for that, and I'm just going to be showing you the whole thing. Okay, so I want to go back to, if you're having trouble finding keywords, I want to do a little slide on giving you some tips. Okay, so here are 3 niches that I'm predominantly in, that I've found, and this real gold mine right here. Okay, because these niches aren't that big. It's not like I'm saying well, I mean, they could be considered big, but the reality is, if you spend a couple of hours, you would find all the keywords in them. Okay, so I'm really giving you some gold here, and a general area to look in. The first is dating, and by dating I don't mean the general sort of dating keywords. I generally mean picking up and talking to women, meeting women, that kind of thing. Guides that are targeted to men. There's a lot of them on ClickBank. They convert okay, not the best converters, but there is a whole bunch of keywords, particularly in the pickup lines area, which I actually discovered on this course, I believe, in the second video. So definitely check out the pickup lines area. But I have quite a few sites in the dating area, you know, how to talk to women, how to start conversation with women. All these keywords are just fantastic. Okay, so definitely you want to check out the dating niche, and more specifically men trying to meet women. Okay. The next is World of Warcraft. Now there are a lot of ClickBank products in this niche. You wouldn't realise it until you actually search for it. Go over to ClickBank and search for World of Warcraft in the search box, and you will get a ton of guides. There are leveling guides, which are about leveling the character within the game, because you have like a character, and well, I'm not going to go into it here. Basically, you know, improves their character. And then they have gold guides where it's about making more money in the game. It's all these insane guides, and these people really pay for that information, and they pay well. These guides convert extremely well, in my experience. Particularly the leveling guides. A lot of the buyers are quite desperate buyers. As I'm sure some of you may have seen on the news, World of Warcraft is quite an addictive game, and so you're really tapping into an addictive market that will do almost anything to, you know, get that extra edge. So not only do they convert well, there is a lot of keywords in World of Warcraft. Okay, so definitely check that out. And then the final one that I want to give you, and there are many more, but you know, I can't give you them all, are weddings. Okay, and specifically wedding speeches. Okay, you see me talked in the Keyword Elite video about the wedding speech niche, and you saw me just find some keywords, and the reality is that there are a lot of them. Okay, now once again, the ClickBank products don't convert too great here, if I'm honest with you, and the payout is pretty low. However, there are a lot of keywords, so you definitely want to check that out. A lot of long tail variations. And just before we move on, I'll give you one market to stay the hell away from, and that's the Forex market. Okay, that is the worst market to target that I've ever seen, and just anywhere really. The keywords, for some reason there are almost no long tail keywords. I don't know, it's because everyone thinks the same in the Forex niche, but there are just a few keywords that get searched for a ton, and then there are, you know, everyone uses the same keywords. So unless you can rank for those, you're really going to get nowhere, and we certainly can't rank for keywords like Forex and Forex Robot, because they're some of the most competitive on the internet. Okay, so it's well away from Forex. And finally, also remember that ClickBank keywords are some of the most competitive online. Okay, so the reality is think about what all the courses teach. All the courses teach, and Google Sniper being no exception, because that's where everyone starts, and it's where I do most of my business still, is they all teach people how to use ClickBank. So the reality is most people will look for ClickBank related keywords, you know, selling ebooks and stuff like that. The keywords selling physical products, like those found on CommissionJunction.com, or some cost per action products. Again, this is stuff we're going to go into in future videos. I think it's next month or the month after that we're actually going to be talking about moving beyond ClickBank. We're going to be talking about how to get accepted by CPA networks and all this kind of stuff, because they really can be a gold mine. That those keywords are a lot more uncompetitive. You know, there's not so many affiliates going after them, and the payouts can be almost as good. The keywords certainly require a lot less pre-selling, because as I famously quoted, if someone's looking to buy a spade, they're not, you know, going to need to be sold on buying the spade. They want to buy a spade, and they're going to buy it. You know, they don't need to be convinced that it's going to work for them, unlike an ebook, which solves a problem where people are generally quite skeptical. Okay, so ClickBank keywords are some of the hardest to find, and you'll find that if you enter other markets promoting physical products, that will generally be a lot easier. Okay, and the final piece of advice is that it may take time to get it just right, particularly some of the SEO stuff, but practice makes perfect, so stick at it. Okay, you know, like I said earlier, you know, it's a fine-tuned process, and it may take some time to get right. Particularly, you know, the SEO stuff can seem a bit complex, but practice really will make perfect, and stick at it. And of course, the results, as you'll find, and as many of my students have found, who are now making a full-time income from it, once you get it down, the results are well worth it. Okay, so in this video, we've just looked at some of the things that can go wrong with a sniper site, how you can fix them, but then of course this is going to be a continuing topic, and really you're going to be learning from every video what's things that could have gone wrong and how you can fix or improve them. So specific to this video, check out the pre-selling video, where we're going to talk about, you know, how you can, what might have gone wrong with your pre-selling, what might have gone wrong with your conversions, how you can fix it, and then also next month check out the video on building links as well, because that will really help you improve the ranking of your site. You know, in just a couple of hours really, it doesn't take long. I'm not going to tell you to submit to hundreds of directories. No, we're only going to be doing the best and most effective way to backlinking. So thanks a lot for watching, and I will speak to you soon.